Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection since 1991. I'm Deb Gillard, guest hosting for Mr. Pete Connor, and happy to do so. Very glad to be with you today. We've got a great show coming up. In studio, we'll have Pat Buretta joining us. We'll be talking about Homestead, the Homestead House, Hospice, and the Star of Hope. A little bit later on in the program, Owatonna Fire Chief Mike Johnson joins us, and we're going to be talking about holiday safety, a couple of very, very timely topics. We do want to mention that we're always interested in your ideas for shows, show topics, guest ideas, and things like that. If you have any of those to pass along, please get a hold of us by calling Leanne Alt, the show's producer, at 390-5751, or you can email owatonnatoday@charter.net. Either of those ways will get you there. So we're going to take a break, first of all, for some of our show sponsors, and then we'll be back with Pat in studio. Please stay with us.
Hi, I'm Dr. Beth Giltvet.
And I'm Dr. Nick Vincelli of Horizon Eye Care.
We want you to see what you love and love how you see. We're proud sponsors of the Owatonna Today Show.
Hi, I'm Sarah Friesen, and I will be singing an LTO's production of Snapshots, Memories, Moments, and Music, directed by Kathy Purdy and Galen Steckelberg. Performances of Snapshots will be held Thursday through Saturday, November 30th, December 1st, and 2nd at 7:30 p.m., with a matinee on Sunday, December 3rd at 2 p.m. Tickets are available at the LTO box office by calling 451-0764 or online at littletheaterofowatonna.org. Don't miss LTO's production of Snapshots, Memories, Moments, and Music.
Welcome back. Thanks again for joining us. It is Wednesday, November 29th, and we're so glad you're with us here on the Owatonna Today Show. I'd like to welcome Pat Buretta with us. How are you, Pat?
Just great.
Okay, Pat is I'm going to have to read this to get this correct, clinical manager of the Homestead House and Alina Home Care and Hospice in our area. And Pat, tell us a little bit about what that means, what area you oversee, and what that program is all about.
Thanks for having me, Deb.
You're welcome.
Yes, I am very honored to be the manager of the Homestead Hospice House, which is an 8-bed facility here in Owatonna that houses anyone that's in a hospice program. I also manage our community hospice and home care program, which services a 50-mile radius. We have a 5-county area that we service, and we bring home care and hospice to wherever the patient lives, in their homes, in a nursing home, in a assisted living group homes. And for those that feel a need and don't have available care in another setting, the Homestead Hospice House is a place where folks can come and stay, if they're in the hospice program.
I think people are becoming a little more knowledgeable, a little more aware of hospice. Would you say that as we age and grow through the generations, you were talking a little bit ahead of the program, I think we're gaining definitely understanding about what hospice is, what it means for someone at the end of life. And in both of those situations, either care in the home or in a residential setting like Homestead House.
Absolutely, Deb. I think we are definitely growing in our knowledge, and in our community, in Owatonna, Faribault in particular, we're really reaching out to encourage people to think about advanced care planning and what their plans are as they may approach end of life, as we all will, and think about what those resources are that they need and how they want that to happen. And hospice, home care, and the Homestead House can be a very big part of that discussion, and supporting folks that want to stay in their home for their care and or look at other options that might be needed.
Yeah, I think that for a long time, and again, I think this is changing, I think hospice was seen as not something people wanted to talk about because it made you really kind of smacked you in the face and made you come to terms with the fact that this is end of life. Right. But again, as you said, we're all going to get there, and so the things we can do to plan so that it's the way we want it, so that our loved ones are incorporated into those decisions, I think is so very important, whether hospice or, like you said, other advanced care planning.
Right, and It is really critical to be talking about that with you and your family, to really understand what your wishes are, how you want to plan for it, and then really think about, because we all will get there, how that you want that to play out. And there are so many resources. What we do find is people that enroll in hospice sooner than later find that their quality of life is much improved. Often their length of life is improved because we've been able to manage their symptoms a little better with some of the programs that we have, as well as the education and support we provide to the family and caregivers in understanding what's going on through that journey, and then what are some resources that really can help them out and make it a better and more meaningful time for them.
And hospice care for the family can continue even after a person passes away, am I correct?
Absolutely,
and
Deb.
that's really important.
Yeah. A part of the hospice package is at least up to 13 months of bereavement support for the family. And we provide that through mailings and group counseling sessions, as well as referral on to other resources if needed. But yes, that is huge support to the patient and family as they're going through the process with their loved one of dying, but then also afterwards to really be able to cope and understand all those feelings that people go through at that time.
I have such a profound respect for those who are involved in not only health care and home care and end of life, but especially for hospice, and had a couple of experiences with both my mother and father-in-law with hospice, wonderful experiences. And also when you and I was working in senior living for a while, and those experiences, well, and I just can't say enough good things. I never saw anything bad come from someone who had hospice care involved with the individual and the family. It was always just such a blessing.
Well, it's a whole basket of services that comes to you with the hospice program, so we really have the opportunity to look at all issues, from social to spiritual to financial to medical, clinical to family resources of all ages. And it's what I find so rewarding about the program is it, to me, is one of the healthcare programs that really takes a look at the whole picture, not only the patient, but everything around that patient and ensuring those needs are met.
Yeah,
I agree.
Fantastic program. Yeah, and you are lucky to be a part of it. We want to talk a little bit about the Star of Hope. This has changed a bit. A couple years back, not last year and not this year, but a couple years and beyond, there was a special ceremony for the Star of Hope, and it was lit at a certain time, and that was all incorporated in this time of year, which, as we were talking about, gets very difficult sometimes to plan events. There are so many things going on. And you've kind of changed the focus of the Star of Hope, and I think it's really neat. So in the last 2 years, last year and this year, you've not had that event, but the Star of Hope gets lit now, but also at other times of the year. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Thanks, Deb. The Star of Hope really had its beginnings when hospice was in the hospital, and they did the lighting of the tree, and then they had this beautiful park there. And then as we moved to the Homestead House, we developed a program called the Star of Hope, and that was held at the church across the way. Now, these last 2 years, instead, we've opted to light the star when we have a death at the Homestead House in honor of that individual and in honor of the new star being born.
And that is wonderful. So if people have seen that star lit at various times of the year, that is what's happening. And the families are, it sounds like and the loved ones are very appreciative of that.
They are, and we offer them to be a part of that ceremony of lighting the star at the time of their loved one's death. We also have a star inside the home that they can light.
Okay.
The light stays on for 24 hours. We've heard some beautiful stories from families that have driven along I-35 and see the star lit after their loved one has passed.
And they're on their way.
And they're on their way. Yep, they're on their way to creating a new star for us. And so our Star of Hope program does come with a donation that we encourage you to participate in. The Star of Hope funding, instead of lighting a light on a tree, we light the star, and we ask for a donation of $10 or whatever you would like, and that goes towards our patient care fund.
Okay.
The Patient Care Fund is a fund we have at the Homestead House for any individuals who are in a hospice program and need a residential setting to stay in and are income eligible for that.
Okay.
The funding for the residents is self-pay. It is not covered under insurance. And so many of our folks that come to the Homestead House do not have that funding available to them. And so we encourage you to consider thinking about donating for the Patient Care Fund, which allows support to those individuals that come there that can't afford that housing. Okay. Hospice, the program itself is covered under their insurance or Medicare, but this is their room and board, the nursing support, medications, or the administration of the medications, the personal care that we can provide to them.
And that Patient Care Fund helps, again, those who are in need and wishing to stay in the residential setting and perhaps unable to do so if it weren't for that. So I would guess that donations are welcome at any time, but certainly at this time of the year when you're thinking about those charitable contributions. I know, some people are looking for places that, strike a chord in their heart, a place to, it's tax deductions and things like that too, but it is the time of the year that some of us are looking for things to do. And if you feel in your heart that this is something that you'd like to donate to, this would be a wonderful cause.
It certainly would be. And what's the beautiful turnaround or payback on this is most people who have had the opportunity to stay at the house under the Patient Care Funds turn around and donate funding through their memorials and other things because they have seen the value of being able to be in that home-like setting at this end of life.
That is just amazing. So now the star was officially lit for the holiday season.
Yes, we
just
lit
on Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving at dusk. We lit the star. We'll have the star lit through the end of the year.
Okay.
Contributions can be given by stopping at the Homestead House. There is a flyer that was sent out through the Chamber newsletter, and there'll also be a flyer in the paper coming up in the near future.
Okay, so again, that gives a little bit more information, just like what we're talking about here. And it looks, do you want to even show this a little bit?
I can.
It's going to look just like that, and it gives you the opportunity on the bottom to fill things out to include with your donation, and of course that is tax deductible as well.
That is correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, just an excellent program, an excellent service. I did not honestly realize that your reach was 50 miles, a 50-mile radius from Owatonna, but that's very important for our families who might be listening that didn't feel, well, we're not in Owatonna or we're not in Steele County, perhaps, and that's a service not available to us, but it is.
Well, actually, the folks that come to the house come from wherever. Whoever in a hospice program might come here because they have family living in our community. So we've had folks at the Homestead House from South Dakota, Wisconsin, elsewhere as well.
So
but
their families can be with them.
So they can be with their families, right?
And Leanne's got a little bit of contact information for you there, Pat. If they have any other questions about Star of Hope, hospice in general, or the Homestead House, I'm sure you're there to answer their questions.
Absolutely. Please give us a call. We provide informational visits at no cost as well for anyone that wants to hear about our program.
All right, Pat Buretta, thanks so much for joining us on the Owatonna Today Show.
And thank you,
yes,
Deb. It's
you're
been
welcome.
a pleasure.
And have a very Merry Christmas, my dear.
And you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll take a break for our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Amy Swain Hearing Centers is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Dr. Amy Swain, and I want everyone to hear better.
Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas produced by gas-fired appliances in your home. The state of Minnesota requires that you have a carbon monoxide alarm within 10 feet of sleeping areas in your home. We suggest you have a digital readout carbon monoxide alarm. That way we were able to check and see what the concentration amount was when the alarm went off. This has been a public safety tip from the Owatonna Fire Department.
Hi, I'm Betsy Linger from the Owatonna Foundation. Your generosity has made Owatonna a better place to live by benefiting our community, the arts, recreation, and education. Please consider a donation today. The Owatonna Foundation is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Owatonna Public Utilities, real people, real reliable, real progress. Making life a little easier day after day, taking pride in our community, listening to what you say, a voice you can talk to. We're growing with you in mind in everything we do. Owatonna Public Utilities.
Hi, I'm Tim Anderson, the owner of Anytime Fitness, where we make getting healthy affordable and convenient. Anytime Fitness is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show here on this Wednesday, November 29th. And as promised, we have Owatonna Fire Chief Mike Johnson. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, Deb.
Absolutely. This is a perfect time to talk about home safety. When it comes to the holidays, we all have a little more going on than we normally would, and we want to make sure we keep our homes and our families and our loved ones and our visitors all very safe. And so we wanted to talk about some of those things today.
Yeah, there's many areas during the holidays, just as far as decorating, that there's things to consider for safety.
Okay, so we're going to go through some do's and don'ts here, right?
Yeah, some do's and don'ts. And one example is just yesterday I decorated my house and went through and looked. And a lot of the holiday plants, people don't realize that the plants themselves can be poisonous. You know, the rhododendrons, the mistletoe, poinsettias, those plants all can be poisonous to small kids and to animals that are there. So I didn't know mistletoe was poisonous. But,
I didn't either. Well, it's always hanging up there anyway, isn't it? But, so hopefully out of reach of anybody, and you're supposed to be kissing under that, but not eating it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I did not realize that, but that makes a whole lot of sense. We pay attention to those things. Many other times we bring a house plant in, and if we have a pet or a small child, we're checking on those things. But here come the holidays, and we've got all these different items or things that we're thinking about for decorating, and that was not really a thought that I would have had either.
Yep.
So,
and I did see a few cars with Christmas trees on top, and they were driving through town. So I know people are looking at purchasing their Christmas trees. And just a quick reminder that those real Christmas trees, if they're dry, they can actually be a fire hazard. So one of the things is to test the tree before you buy it.
Okay.
If you take the needles and you just bend them and they break, usually that's a sign that the tree's already dry.
It's too dry.
The other thing is you can just pick the tree up and give it a little drop, and if needles start to fall off, you know that the tree is too dry.
Yeah, but it's certainly not going to get any better throughout the next month here when you have the tree in your home.
Yeah, and even if you get a tree that's, has enough water in it, you have to make sure that you're watering that tree regularly to make sure it doesn't dry out, because you don't want it to become too dry, because then it could be a fire hazard. The other thing is where you're going to put the tree.
Okay.
I've heard the stories where people buy the tree that's too big for the house.
Yeah.
But what I'm concerned about as a fire chief is to make sure you put it in a safe place.
Okay.
So you don't want it close to a fireplace or open flame, because it could be dry and it could actually ignite and start on fire. But the other thing is the trees can be big and you can block exits. And you never want to do that. I know I've seen a place where they put the Christmas tree right in front of the front door, and most people didn't use that door. They came in a back door.
Okay.
But you need those in case you need to get out of the house. So you don't want to block those with a Christmas tree.
You sure don't. Let me ask you this. If you purchase a live tree, and even if it does appear to, and you've done your little test and it appears to have enough moisture, do you need to saw off some of the bottom of the tree to get it to drink more, or will it just be okay if you put it in water?
Yeah, that would be something the nursery could tell you what they would want you to do with that tree.
Okay.
But the other thing is when you put your tree up and you have your decorations, you want to be safe when you're doing that. But look at the decorations, especially the lighting. We always want people to buy UL listed, Underwriter Laboratories listed wiring, because that means it's tested, it's safe, and it has a fuse in it. Because over time that wiring can get old, it can get brittle, it can break. The sockets where the bulbs go into, the wiring itself can lose its protectant. So you want to go through and check those. And my recommendation, if you check your lighting before you put it up, and you're starting to see it get brittle, or you're starting to see little cracks in the protective coating on the wiring, you probably want to throw it away and just buy some new lighting that's there.
And I think you can still recycle them. Does the Owatonna Public Utilities do some of the recycling of Christmas lights after the holidays?
Yeah,
during the holiday season?
I believe they do, and I know that many people are switching.
Recycling boxes up right now in the lobby.
If you are finding those when you're going through things and saying, "Ooh, can't use that one," don't throw it away, but take it down to Owatonna Public Utilities and throw it in the box that they have for recycling. I would guess that LEDs, as we're seeing so many of the lights are LED now, they don't really get warm to the touch. That's probably
Yeah,
a better
they're
bet, too, for
safer
a
and they
live
save
tree.
energy, so it's a
Right.
good alternative to go through and do that.
Yeah.
So
I was just putting up some outdoor decorations, and I'm stringing out the extension cord, and I don't know how it got that way, but there was a spot in it that was split, and you could see the inside wiring, and I went, okay, we're done with that one. You know, it's not something you want to mess with, because not just indoors, but even outdoors too, to pay attention to the wiring of the things that you're putting up and plugging in.
Yeah, the extension cords themselves, just like the wiring on the lights, need to be checked, and if it's frayed or if there's anything wrong with it, you want to replace it. And then the other thing is, most of the Christmas lights will have a recommendation on their package of how many strings of lights can be stringed together.
Sure.
And you see a lot of homes where you have a lot of lights that are out there, but go through and follow those recommendations. In general, it's 3 sets of lights can be stringed together.
Okay.
And then the other thing is you want to use a safe extension cord to get to where the tree is for outdoor lighting around the house.
Yes.
And you don't want to daisy chain those together. You want to have one, and you want one that's rated for the use that you're going to be doing it for.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is there's indoor rated extension cords and outdoor rated. So if you're going to use it outdoors, you want to get an outdoor rated extension
it's
cord.
more the heavy duty. I mean, I think we can kind of picture it in our minds. They're usually a little bit heavier cable or cord, most often for the outdoor, but just make sure.
Yeah. And then many of the other decorations that we put out, one of the most common fires we have during the holiday season is from candles.
Yes.
And many people go through and light candles in their home. They put off a very nice scent. But you want to think about the candle holder and where you're placing that candle to make sure that it's going to be in a safe place if the candle burns down.
Yeah.
And you should be in the room if you have candles lit, and remember to go through and put those candles out. But the decorations that you put around those containers or candles can be combustible, and they can cause a problem with the fire that's there.
Okay.
So you want to make sure you look at the candle holders and get something that's stable, that's going to hold that. In my house, I have a cat that knocks things over.
Say no more. Yes.
And I've had my candles knocked over. In fact, he goes into the tree regularly. And,
yay!
You know, so cats are a hazard and kids are a hazard. So the point.
Dogs with wagging tails are a hazard.
So the point is, you know, pick candle holders that are stable and that they're going to provide protection. Even if you're not, you don't notice it. If the candle burns down, it's not going to be next to something combustible.
I think we've all heard those horrible stories. You know, you've got the candles going in your house and you've got company over and everybody says, hey, let's go for a walk. And we've heard the terrible stories of people who, you know, leave candles burning because I think they just kind of become a part of our atmosphere, our ambiance, everything that's going on. And then we kind of forget that they're there. So I think I like the idea of the flameless candles that are out there now. I mean, they don't necessarily have the beautiful scents and things like that, but they have come a long way. And I think if you're going to be in danger of leaving your home and not, I'd say go with the flameless every time.
Yeah, and many of those are on a timer, and it's a good alternative that's there.
Yeah.
Some other things to think about for holiday safety: it is getting slippery. It's been beautiful weather, but make sure if you have guests coming over, you put some sand down so nobody slips on your sidewalks and things when they're coming in. And one of the things I always like to see when you go to a holiday party is if you have a designated driver or they offer beverages. There's some really nice beverages that are non-alcoholic, and you can provide those to people because you want them to have a good time, but you also want them to get home safely and not endanger themselves or someone else.
I think we're getting a little smarter at that as a general rule as a society. I would hope. I think people are much more conscious of keeping a designated driver, having transportation for their guests if they are, you know, serving alcohol and they're at all worried about it. Again, if you're at all worried about it, make arrangements. You know, don't let that person drive if you're worried that they've consumed too much alcohol in your home too. I mean, have a plan.
Yep. And then as people open gifts, I always try and make sure that there's no candles around when they're opening the gifts because
tissue.
I've seen it when kids are there and the wrappers fly and they're not thinking about where the wrappers are going. So if there's a table with a candle on it, it's not a good idea because you got a lot of combustibles around and you can have you know, a potential fire that's there.
How about cooking?
Cooking.
We're in our kitchen a lot with a lot of people and a lot of food cranking through the oven and the stove, right?
One of our biggest fires with our fire department is cooking fires. And most often it's unattended, unsupervised cooking. During the holiday season, people are very busy.
Yeah,
everybody is. And it's easy to put things in the oven or on the stovetop, and then you walk away from it and you're busy doing other things.
Yes.
And many times that often results in a fire because something overheats or ignites in the oven. So,
just a lot of things to be conscious of, things that we need to be conscious of on a daily basis, but certainly during the holidays as all this activity is going on. Again, we have so many more people in our house, we're cooking more, we're doing all these things, we're putting up decorations. Just be safe. And I know if they have any questions about it, they can certainly call you. Like, what was that listing that you said? That's the UL listing on the lighting or something like that. If they have questions, I know that they can call in you or one of the individuals at the fire hall will answer those questions.
Yeah, all of our Owatonna firefighters want everybody to have a happy holiday season. And if we don't have to go on a call, that means our firefighters can stay home with their homes and with their families. And I think that's important to them.
Happier holidays for all then.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thank you so much. Great things to keep in mind. And we want our guests, our Owatonna Today Show guests, to be safe. So pay attention to all of those things. And thank you very much for being with us. Have a very happy holiday season.
Yep, you too.
Thank you. We'll take a break for our supporters and we'll be right back to wrap up.
At Triumph Graphics, we think beyond ink. That's why you should make us your source for creative concept, design, print, mail, and web. Check us out today at triumphgraphics.com.
Hi, my name is Dave Efforts with TPS Insurance. We're here to handle all your insurance needs. We are a very proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
A few announcements to wrap up on this Wednesday, November 29th. As we saw on Monday, performances of LTO Snapshots, Memories, Moments, and Music will be one weekend only. That is this weekend, starting tomorrow, Thursday, continuing on Friday and Saturday. Those are all evening shows at 7:30, and then Sunday, December 3rd at 2 o'clock. Tickets are now on sale and available at Little Theater of Owatonna at the box office. Their phone number is 451-0764, so please enjoy that. Soup Supper Time coming up this Friday, December 1st from 4:30 to 6:30. That is at the Steele County History Center. The 2017 Canadian Pacific Holiday Train will be coming to Owatonna on Tuesday, December 5th. I'm not going to get into a lot of details on that. It'll be here between 3 and 6 o'clock at 1145 Park Drive in the Industrial Park, and performances there. But we're going to have more on that for you on Friday's program. We'll have a whole show segment dedicated to the holiday train, so we'll be talking a little bit more about that. There is a support group for caregivers of individuals with Alzheimer's or other dementias. The next support group will be in the evening from 6 to 7 o'clock on Tuesday, December 5th at the Owatonna Public Library, 3rd floor in this small conference room. Steele County Historical Society invites you to Junior History Detectives and History Detectives. Those are coming up next Thursday, December 7th at 9 a.m. and again at 6:30 p.m. They'll be looking at Christmas at the state school and what it meant for those children, which is, I think, very different than most of us recognize Christmas in our homes. So that'd be very, very great for those Junior History Detectives. Collection boxes are out for the 2017 Steele County Toys for Tots program. They're ready to be filled for the giving season here, and there are more than 80 collection boxes around Owatonna and Steele County. There are businesses, schools, churches, and they're looking for your donations of new unwrapped toys. They're being accepted through Tuesday, December 12th. And if you'd like more information about Toys for Tots, you can visit their website or Facebook page for more updates, but do consider donating there. That'll do it for our announcements today. Coming up, as I mentioned, on Friday's program, we'll be talking about the holiday train, chugging into town, and also we'll be meeting our new Steele County administrator. So please join us on Friday. We'll see you then.